I'm Madeline Harvey, and thank you for hanging out with me today. I really enjoy talking with you guys and just exploring all the facets of what it means to be committed to your process of becoming as an artist, and what kind of obstacles or lessons or conflicts that we might encounter on that road to becoming. And I want to talk about one of those conflicts that you will most assuredly encounter on your road to becoming an artist. And that is how to handle conflict, how to handle haters. Now, I know that that's really, really, really heavy. And I've spoken with a lot of singers, and they will say something like, oh, well, I'll just be better. I'll just be what they want me to be. And that's a very dangerous, very slippery slope. So I want to talk about why that's so dangerous today and what you can do to keep you rooted in your own process of becoming, so that you are the boss of you and you can be confident and move forward with your head held high into the world. So if you like today's video, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. I would love to see you here more often. So, to be an artist means there is always a process of becoming happening. You're always evolving. You're always learning. You're always growing. The more you expose yourself to life, the more elegant, sophisticated, evolved your preference, your taste becomes, your skills become. You are literally tempered by your art and as it is exposed to the world. It's a very scary process that can feel like quite a heavy burden to bear, because you have to stay rooted in your own sense of who you are as an artist. I mean, you have to ground yourself deeply in your own vision of what you would like to become for yourself. And sometimes it feels like you also have to manage the expectations that are projected onto you by other people. Now, this is so true, but let's talk about why this is so dangerous. And I will say that if you're moving into the entertainment industry, or if you've been in the entertainment industry for a while, then you know how dangerous this can be to your confidence and your sense of self and your mental health. Because let's say you're going to an audition. Well, the success of that audition is directly tied to someone else perceiving your value, someone else choosing you or not choosing you. And there's where the distortion comes in, because we learn very quickly, it's that whole axiom of I'll be whoever you want me to be sort of thing. And it just is not the way that it works. We end up giving all of our power away to those that are doing the observing, the casting directors, the audience itself, and we lose our sense of self in the process. Now, it's very paradoxical in the sense that the less we care about the approval of others, the more we will gain the approval of others. Because people can sense authenticity. People can sense real rooted vision and confidence. But it is a hard-won lesson. See how I slowed that down for emphasis? It's a very hard-won lesson, hard-earned wisdom. Because the only way to earn this wisdom is through the experience of having to handle that burden of other people's expectations, sometimes in direct conflict with who you think you are or who you want to be. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. And let's say that as an artist, you have a vision for who you are, and you have a vision for maybe your sound or your look or your style or your taste. And as it's developing, when it's new, it is not always, sometimes it is, but it's not always supported by the people around you. Sometimes they're used to seeing the past you. And sometimes there's a full-on clash of who you want to be and who they think you are. So sometimes when you're just getting started, you have to keep those dreams to yourself. Just let them incubate a little bit. Let yourself feel more rooted and strong within those beliefs. Work in that direction. That way it will feel more authentic and more honest and more natural to you. And you will find that the more you work on your vision, on yourself, on your craft, the less you actually need the approval of those in your immediate vicinity. Now, of course, it always feels really, really good, but the objective here is true ownership, true sovereignty, to feel sourced from within, to feel your own sense of value, your own sense of approval. And I think the only way to really feel that is to be very clear about what your vision is of yourself and to really know thyself. I think you will find that there's always a pattern in the things that you like. There's a reason why you like the things that you like. There is value in it for you. There's something you can learn from those things that you like. Maybe it's a particular style you like to sing, or maybe it's a particular artist that you want to emulate. It's very similar to your own type of style. It gives you a framework from which to start, and that is very important. And if that means you have to be insanely protective of your own vision and keep it hush, then keep it hush and really work it until it feels rooted and grounded and can stand on its own. You will need this, because once you take that formed idea and that formed song or that play or whatever, or that choreography, whatever it is that you have poured your heart and soul into and you have become, know that the value in it was you becoming it, not what other people think of it. The real lesson is what you've learned, how you have become the next level of yourself. You have leveled up in a sense, and you've used the power and the force of your own desire to get you there. So that when you do share it, it is from a place that is rather unconditional, meaning you value it, you enjoyed becoming it, and so share it and let it be. But let's say we encounter that next process, which is you take a stage and there's almost this unspoken agreement between audience and artist. And that unspoken agreement is basically like the audience will project their ideals onto you, what they think you should be. And artists will feel this. They'll feel this in a strange, nervous tension. And I think that that's really at the heart of that feeling of not living up to someone else's standards. But you see, if you've claimed your vision for yourself and you take the stage and say, this is who I am, then the people in the audience will say, okay. But if you don't, if you're not standing in your own source of who you are choosing yourself to be, then other people will project what they think you should be. And that's a never ending, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You're not this enough, you're not that enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And it can feel, if you're learning and growing, it can feel incredibly hard to bounce back from something that feels that heavy, that painful, right? But try, if you can, don't take that on. That's not your stuff. A lot of artists that I talk to are like sponges for criticisms. They'll just read everyone's critiques and they'll take it to their precious hearts. They'll take it in and they'll claim ownership to that, and they'll say, well, I don't know how to please everyone. You cannot be that agreeable. You can't. I'm so sorry. Because the more you try to please others, the more you will lose yourself. And the whole point is to stand firm in who you are wherever you are in your process of becoming, knowing that conflict and how you manage that conflict is all a part of the learning. But you are committed to that process of becoming. The more you learn to stand in this, the less that will bother you. But when you're just first exposing yourself to the world, it can feel like an incredible, incredible burden. So let's talk really quickly about the mindset of the hater itself. What makes a hater, and why are they so hateful? Okay, so what I would like to do is to quickly get into the mindset of two different points of view of two different types of hater. Now, people that you will most definitely encounter somewhere along your creative journey. Now, the point of today's video is not what to say to put them in their place, what to say to enter into conflict with them. The point of today's video is to actually recognize that behavior and disengage from it completely, because both styles of hater want you to engage with them. They want you to feed them with that energy. And this kind of energy is not life-giving. It is life-taking. So before we get into the ways that these types of people are different from each other, we're going to talk about what they will use singularly as their tool of destruction, and that is shame. Haters will use shame because there is this psychological predator. There's something in the psyche that actually seeks to destroy, especially if a wounding has happened. So that is the first hater. They are people that are actually quite wounded themselves. Maybe they felt rejected. Maybe they tried to be artistic, or maybe they tried to be an athlete, or they put everything on the line and it was not what they wanted it to be. So they feel a deep sense of disappointment and dissatisfaction or rejection. There is deep wounding that's going on. How to recognize this particular hater is they will bombard you, completely steamroll you with, you're not doing this enough, you're not doing that enough, you're not doing, just criticisms, absolute criticisms. It is death by 1,000 cuts. You will never live up to their expectations. So what can you do? What tool do you possibly have to stand up against 1,001 expectations that you just will not be able to meet? Now, the reason you won't be able to meet them is because, let's say you meet them. Well, then they just change them. It's just that kind of conflict will always be present. So the only tool that you have is your inner sense of self-worth, because remember, they're going to come at you with criticism, which is just distorted shame. They really want to put you in your place. That's what haters love to do. They want to say, this is how you're not good enough. This is how you look stupid. I mean, clearly I'm not a hater. I don't have examples fresh in my mind. But they're not supportive. They want to use shame to bring you down. They want you to live in the shadow of your own doubt. So they'll come at you with all sorts of projections of what they think you should be. So the only tool that you have amidst that is your own sense of worth. So it's important to be able to recognize this when you see people projecting a lot of expectations or a lot of criticisms onto you. It's important to recognize it and not take it in. That's really hard to do. That's really hard to do because we've been socialized in this way, right? We really have. We've been integrated into society with an expectation that a certain amount of behavior is what's expected. And if you do not do that, then you're not welcome, right? So we feel it deeply, deeply, deeply. But what you can do is recognize it in its early, subtle stages. Just have a sense of compassion of they're coming from a place of some deep, deep wounds. They feel the burden of those wounds all of the time, but their burden doesn't belong to you. You don't have to take that on. You did not agree to that. The only thing that you have to be loyal to is your own vision of yourself. And then affirm that to yourself. I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly changing. I like who I'm becoming. I like looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm beginning to respect who I see back. Oh, I so want this for you. So want this for you. I want this for me. This is the work, isn't it? So aside from having a good footing in what your vision is, be very choosy about who you surround yourself with. Make it a small group of people that are going to help hold that vision for you. This is your support system. These are the people that are going to help go, no, this was your vision, remember? Because you are a person. You are going to feel tired by the journey. You're going to feel humbled by the journey. It's going to challenge you. So you need to be able to have people around you that will say, no, this is what you're going for. You can do this. You can be that. Remember, this is who you are. This is what you want for yourself. So you don't necessarily owe it to the great, grand world to meet every expectation that they're going to throw at you. You can't, because even if you do, they're just going to change it. So that's a never-ending battle. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring out the best in you and stay true to your vision of yourself. So that's the first hater. They will use projection, shame, because they're wounded, they're hurt, they're poor, unfortunate souls that haven't lived the life that they had hoped that they would. And so they feel a sense of resentment to those who are trying. So the second kind of hater is probably the most dangerous, because there's absolutely no winning at all with them. And I'll just call them the narcissist. Now, the reason I'm using that word specifically is narcissism is a spectrum, and it's a very intense spectrum, and it's a lot of behavior has varying degrees of recognizability. But the big reason that a narcissist is very, very dangerous as a hater is the only objective they have is to exercise superiority over you. They will go straight for the throat. And that is their objective. Now, I'm telling you this because I want you, again, to be able to recognize that it's just a tactic. It's all a tactic. May have no basis in fact whatsoever. It's just simply tactical. They're going for what they want, which is to feed off of that energy, like little vampires, right? They want to feed off of that energy. They love it when they hurt people, and that's why it's really dangerous. It's really awful. Really, really awful. If you ever hear people rallying other people, whether it's in a group, like a physical group or like a board, saying like, who else thought that was absolute garbage? Or who else thinks that this person is the worst thing you've ever heard? Or your voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Who else agrees with me? That's a narcissist. They're trying to rally other people to that cause. Just to feel powerful, just to feel superior over you. That's where they're coming from. It's a power play and nothing more than that. Do not engage, because they hope you will. They hope you will. They want to sink their teeth into you, and they will go 100 rounds with you, and they will not back down. So don't enter into that battle. It's just life taking. It's not anything that's going to make you feel warm and fuzzy when you walk away from it. They just want to make you feel small. They want to bring you down. They take pleasure in that. That's absolutely terrible, awful. But they do. So recognize that when you see it. And if you must engage, affirm what you think of, I get to decide what I think of myself. And I'm really enjoying the process of my own becoming. Thank you. That's a total side step that has nothing to do with them. It goes back to you claiming power for yourself. This is all about you becoming who you are, who you know you can be. So you could even say something like, I realize I'm not there yet, but I'm really enjoying becoming it. Or I'm really enjoying what this journey is like for me. I get to decide what I think of myself. That is probably the most powerful thing that you could ever say to a hater. I get to decide what is beautiful. I get to decide what sounds good. I get to decide who I am. It's the most powerful tool you have against any criticism or any hater in the world. Now, the truth of the matter is you will encounter it. It's just a consequence of exposing yourself to the greater world. Don't use it as a fear of not going out into the world. You have something you can give. You have something that you can contribute to the culture. You have a voice. You have an imagination. You have a history that you can draw upon that can benefit all of us. You have a story, right? We all want to hear it. But you must arm yourselves with the resources and the tools to be able to handle the conflict that will come your way. Now, this conflict is going to play out more in your mind and in your own heart than it will between you and another person. That's why handling a hater is an elusive thing. It plays out here and it plays out here. And recognize it when it's happening and just immediately engage yourself and say, I get to decide. I get to decide what is good. Or if someone came at you with criticism, then go to your support system and say, well, what do you guys think? Because those are the people that you have selected to support you. And you trust what they think. And they know who you are trying to be. And they're going to help you get there. But stay firmly planted in who you know that you can become. And move forward. You have every reason to move forward into the world with your head held high. Firmly planted in who you are becoming. So thank you guys. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please be sure to give it a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. I feel like I'm like tickle, tickle, tickle. I would love to see you here more often. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you again next time. Bye, loves.